Hey there, everybody. Morning. This is Roman Polnar coming to you live, Pillar 6 College Planning, and welcome to 2022. Happy New Year. Hope it's starting off well for you. This is our first Financial Aid Wednesdays of 2022, and I thought about what would we talk about that's going to be a worthy enough topic, because if you've been watching me do these Financial Aid Wednesdays in the past, then you know that I always take some financial aid topic and I take it apart in effort to help all of you get the most amount of financial aid that you can to make college more affordable. And so as I was thinking about what should the very first Financial Aid Wednesday topic be of the year, and what would be worthy of the very first topic of the year to be. And I realized that the most important thing that I would want all of you to know is the number one thing that you must do in January if, and this is again, highlight, if you want money to pay for college. Because look, if you're not going to be looking for financial aid or extra money, if you've got all the money in the bank that you need and you can just write the check and not miss it and pay for your kids' college, this probably is not for you. But on the other hand, if you're like most people who've saved as much as they could, they've done as best as they could, but they know in the back of their mind at some point when their kids go to college, they're going to have a bit of a money problem because colleges are expensive and they haven't been able to save as much as they might need to, again, just write the check and not miss it. If that's you, this is for you because the number one thing that every single family must know and must do is to figure out where the money is actually going to come from. So I realize this might sound simple and commonsensical to some of you, but it might also sound pretty abstract and very unclear to others. But trust me when I say that the financial aid season actually starts now in January, regardless of how old your kids are. I'm going to tell you exactly why. See, because most parents and their kids, they think that financial aid season begins when their kids are seniors in high school. They think that financial aid is something that they do in the senior year when they apply to college. And, they're not wrong, but they're only partially right. Uh, to be exact, they're about a third right. But the two-thirds, a far bigger part of the financial aid, actually happens before the senior year. It happens in the 10th and 11th grade when your kids are sophomores and juniors in high school. So, in this live cast, I'm going to talk about what high school families, both sophomore and junior families, must do this January to lock in the highest financial aid awards possible when the time actually comes for your kids to go to college. Now, this is also going to help some of the senior families. So, if your kids have already applied to college, maybe they're just about to get their acceptance letters and financial aid award letters. This is going to help you too because your job's not done yet. Just because you applied doesn't mean you're going to get all the money that you're looking for. But if you've got a sophomore or a junior right now, this is important and you got to pay attention because there's something really important you got to start doing right now in January. Now, before I share all that with you and what you should be doing, for those of you watching live, welcome. Thanks for being here. And I just want to say you've got the benefit of being able to ask any question that you want or drop a comment right there below in whatever social media platform you're watching me on. And this way, I want to be certain to answer your questions. And if I say something that doesn't make complete sense, let me know and I'll spend a little bit more time in answering that question for you. But if you're watching a replay, you can also put in your comments below, and I or a member of my team will get back to you. So, without further ado, let me share my screen. I'm going to share something really important that all of you must do starting right now if you want financial aid. My guess is since you're here, you do. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about where the money is. Let me make this a little bit bigger. All right, there we go. So, where's the money? This is a really, really important question that you have to answer before your kids apply because there's well over $2 billion of financial aid that the government alone sets aside every single year. Sorry, I take that back. Over 3 billion. Um, there's also private scholarships, there's college money. That's in addition to billions of dollars that are in the system. But yet, most parents and their kids um, can't find enough money when they send their kids to college. And this is why. So here's what usually happens. This is a good test if I can type and talk at the same time. So, usually in the ninth grade, most families just kind of get used to the high school experience. In the 10th grade, there's not much for them to do. In the 11th, they start thinking about, SATs, PSATs, etc. In the 12th grade is when the rubber hits the road. And usually, sometime between September and November, kids apply to college. And then sometime during that time period, and maybe a little bit later, they apply for financial aid. Then, sometime between November through January, they wait because they're waiting for those financial aid, or sorry, they're waiting for acceptance letters, and then they wait for financial aid awards. But unless you applied early action or early decision, there's not much for you to do right now. You're in the waiting zone. Now, starting February through usually March, the kids are going to start getting their acceptance letters. And usually within about 2 weeks after getting the acceptance letters, colleges are also going to send you your financial aid offer. It's a letter that's going to tell you exactly what the colleges cost and how much financial aid they give you. So it's really sometime in this period, about March through April, that most families, and I should say most parents in particular, start freaking out. And they start freaking out because when they open up those envelopes and they're excited because their kids got into college and they're celebrating, rightfully so, they're happy. And then 2 weeks later, they get another letter from those colleges with the financial aid packet. And they open that and they're usually not as excited as they were the first time around. And the reason for that is because most families will not get the kind of financial aid offer that they were expecting. They're not getting enough money. And this is when they start to panic and they start calling people like myself, trying to figure out how they can get more money to help them bridge the gap between how much the college costs and the amount of money that they've got. And so the gap is just a bit too big. Well, they don't have a lot of time because as of May 1st, this is your national college decision day. And this is generally when you have to commit to college and you have to write your first deposit check. So, this is what happens most of the time. This is the freak out that a lot of families experience. And unfortunately, because there's just not a great deal of time between the time their kids get into college, get their financial aid offers, and then May 1st, when they have to make a decision, what happens then is for first year of college, often beyond, families pay for college with, drum roll please, with debt. They usually take on student loans and they take parent loans. Now, some of these parent loans are taken out through colleges, through the government, and oftentimes people just go deep into their own pockets and they'll, refinance their homes, take out home equity if they own a home and if they have home equity. Oftentimes they'll dip into retirement or other savings that were intended for something else, or they'll just literally put things on the card, which they should not. But unfortunately, most of America pays for college with debt. And good news is you don't have to because there's so much money out in the financial aid system. In fact, I mentioned this earlier, and I'll say it right now. $2 billion goes unclaimed every year. And this has happened for the last several years. So, eh, th- I realize that there are a lot of folks on the that are going to be watching this, and you'll all have very specific and unique circumstance. Like I don't know if you're going to qualify for the traditional financial aid. You may not, because if you're a higher middle income earning family, well, or middle income family, you might not qualify for a lot of traditional financial aid. But it doesn't mean game over. There's a lot of money for you. It's just you have to know where to look. And this is the exact reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you all on the very first Financial Aid Wednesday of 2022. Because what's most important, if you've got a high school sophomore, even if you have a freshman or a sophomore or a junior, there's one thing that you have to do right now to figure out where will the money come from for you and your family? Because there's plenty of money. Even if you're a higher income family or high income family that doesn't qualify for traditional financial aid, don't worry about it. There's still money for you. You just have to know where to look. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it right now. Now, by the way, uh, just to help me get a sense of who's on the call, let me know what grade your kids are in right now. Even if they're not in high school yet, there's still some things you can do to start getting ready. But most importantly, if you've got a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, let me know. Just drop it in the comments below. Put in the grade level for your kids. I'm going to give you some specific tips that you can do right now. So, this is what usually happens. Now, let me tell you what should happen. So, let's start with the sophomore year. Now, January is a really, really important month for you because this year, January to December, is going to be used by colleges to determine your financial aid award. So it's this calendar year that the government and colleges are going to look at your finances. Most importantly, they're going to look at your income. Well, I can't spell today. Income from this year to determine your future financial aid. And so it's really, really important for you to know in this year, when your kids are sophomores, whether you're going to qualify and go after that kind of financial aid or if you're not. So I won't go too deep into details because I don't want to overwhelm too quickly, but I will tell you this. The year or the income that you earn this year is going to decide whether or not you're going to qualify for traditional financial aid. And it's really, really easy to figure out what path you should take after that. Because if you are going to qualify for need based financial aid based on your income, well, then you're going to go down the path of making sure that you're going to qualify or pre qualify yourself for the financial aid 2 years from now. On the other hand, if your income is too high and you're not going to qualify for the traditional need based financial aid, that's okay. You don't have to worry about doing the things that would lower your income. You have to start looking for money from the non traditional financial aid system. So, money's there. It's just you have to know which path you need to follow. And you can figure this out in probably 20 minutes. By the way, I want to offer, and if somebody's on the call now, hey, Sean, good to see you. Good afternoon. I know you've got a senior. All right, I'm going to get to you in just a minute. Hang in with me because I'm going to start with sophomores. I'm going to make my way to juniors, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what your kids should do because I know they're seniors. Hey, Sean, good to see you. So, if somebody wouldn't mind, actually, you know what? If you want, uh, if you want some help in figuring out which path you need to take for your family, I'm going to make it really simple. Just put free consult in the comments below, and a member of my team is going to send you a link to my calendar. And this is a complete complimentary 15-minute call that we're going to have by Zoom. And in those 15 minutes, I will personally tell you which path you should take. To look for the kind of financial aid that you're actually going to be able to get. And that doesn't matter if you've got a 9, 10, 11, or 12 grader at home. Just put free consult in the comments below and we'll send you that link. All right. So in the 10th grade, what you should do right now, I'll put this now, you need to model or estimate your EFC. If you don't know what the EFC is, I'm going to tell you briefly without going into details, but it stands for your expected family contribution. That's the amount of money that the government is going to expect you to pay for college. So, in 15 minutes or so, you can easily estimate what your EFC will be in the future. And so, if it's something that will qualify you for financial aid, then you got to make sure that you minimize the amount of financial resources you have to share with the government to bring that expected number down. If you're a higher income family and your expected family contribution is already high, well, don't worry about it. That's okay. Then there's another path where you're going to look for merit scholarships, merit financial aid, and private scholarships and tax savings. I'll talk about that some other time. Now, if you've got an 11th grader, they're a junior, and right now in January, Um, probably around, I'd say, actually, I shouldn't say January, sometime around March through May, maybe even June, your kids are going to start looking at colleges. Um, they're going to be looking, maybe meeting with their high school counselor. Maybe they're going to be attending college fairs in person or remotely. But by the end of May and or June, your kids are going to have a pretty good idea of their college list. And that's on one hand a really, really good thing. On the other hand, this is where a lot of families get themselves into trouble, at least financially. Because think about it. When your kids are looking at colleges, what are they looking for? Like, maybe you don't like you don't know what they're going to be looking for yet. That's okay. But think about what you are looking for, or what would a normal junior high school kid look for in a college? Well, for most kids, they're looking at colleges based upon like the name. Like, this is where my friends are going to go. So that's where I want to go. This is a prestigious college, perhaps. Or maybe this is a college that is close to home or far away from home. This is a college that is in a big city, or maybe it's outside a big city, it's by the ocean, or, they've got a great sports teams, or maybe it's the kind of experience that they want. Maybe it's a degree that they want to pursue. But most kids aren't thinking about, gosh, how much is this college going to cost me and my family? Is this something that my family can afford? Am I going to get financial aid from this college? Am I going to get enough financial aid from this college? Am I going to get the kind of financial aid from this college that I don't have to borrow or pay back? Am I going to get free money? Kids are not actually, not usually, they're not asking these questions, and that's okay. They're kids. But you should be asking yourself this question, and then you should be working together with your student in creating this joint vision, joint picture of what an ideal college looks like from both sides, from their perspective about where they want to go, but also from your perspective financially. What's the really good, affordable college for them and for your family? And so, what that means is right now, you also need to estimate your EFC, but you also need to know what your financial aid profile is. And financial aid profile simply means, similar to what I talked about earlier with the sophomore families, financial aid profile means, where is your family going to get the most money so that you can look for the right college that's actually going to give it to you? Are you going to be looking for more scholarships? Are you going to be looking for more grants? Are you going to be looking for more need-based financial aid? Are you going to be looking for outside scholarships or tax credits or tax savings? There's a lot of money, but you got to know where the money is likely going to come from for you, for your personal family financial aid profile, so that when March, May, and June come around and your kids are looking at colleges, you want to make sure that your financial aid profile is aligning with the colleges that they're looking for, because colleges are ultimately going to be the ones to disperse their financial aid awards. So let me just minimize this so I'm not making this too hard to read. So that's what you got to start doing right now, because you, as the parent, in the next few weeks, can help not for yourself and for your student, figure out exactly what your financial aid profile is. And once you know, gosh, if you just tell them these are the kind of schools that we're looking for, because these are the kind of schools that'll give us the most amount of money, it's going to make their life so much easier. And it's going to make your life easier later when they actually go to college. Because at the end of the day, there are over 4,000 colleges in this country. I promise you, if you spend a little bit of time this month, right now in January, figuring out what profile of colleges is right for you, and give that to your kids so that before they meet with their high school counselor or private college counselor, before they start looking online themselves. But if you do that, man, they're going to pick far better colleges. And I promise you, they can pick 10, 15, even 20 colleges out of 4,000 that they're going to be absolutely thrilled with, and that you're going to be thrilled with as a parent, because you're actually going to be able to write the check for the amount that's comfortable for you to afford. And the rest of the money is going to come from the colleges. I promise you, no matter what your financial circumstances or what your financial aid profile is, you can find money. And I'll help you. By the way, for those of you who are joining us now, just type in free consult, and a member of my team will send you a link to my calendar, and I'll give you 15 minutes and I'll tell you exactly what your financial aid profile is. All right, Sean, this is your time. What if you have a high school senior, right? So if you've got a senior, I'm going to first talk about what usually happens again, and we've covered that a little bit, and then what you should be doing right now. So most kids would have already applied to college if they're a high school senior sometime between September through November, maybe even December, right? They applied, and now you're waiting. You're waiting for acceptance letters. Now, if your student applied early action or early decision, chances are by now, it is what, January 5th or so? By now, they would have already received their acceptance letters. And in some cases, they would have already received their financial offers from each college. Now, if they applied regular decision, then those acceptance and financial aid offers are going to be coming soon. Here's what you need to do right now before you get that financial aid offer. What you need to do is review your Fafsa and review your CSS profile. Those are the two financial aid forms that you should have applied by now or submitted by now. If you didn't, gosh, you got to go do it right now, literally, like in the next day or two, because the money has already started flowing out to those kids that have applied early decision. And even those who are applied regular decision are going to start getting financial aid offers. So all those kids and families that submitted their FAFSA in the fall, they're going to be the first in line to get financial aid. So if you haven't applied for financial aid yet, you got to hustle like right now. And you got to do it correctly, though. So don't just sloppily just put whatever numbers in. Make sure you do it correctly, because you want to make sure that colleges are not going to expect you to pay any more than you have to. If you need some help, again, feel free to drop free consult in the comments, and I'll at least point you in the right direction. But if you've already submitted your FAFSA or your CSS profile, you want to make sure to review it right now in January, so that you can catch any possible mistakes if you've made any. And it just so happens that most people will make some number of small mistakes that will end up making colleges think that you can pay more than you should. This happens because people overstate the value of some investments, and sometimes they share things they shouldn't share. Sometimes it just happens that they, miss the field, and their expected family contribution comes out too high. So if there are any errors, if there are any mistakes in your financial aid apps, you got to find them right now, fix them, and right away, let every one of the colleges know that you discovered an error, and ask them to use the new information to recalculate your financial aid offer, so that when you get your financial aid offer in the next month or two, it's actually going to be correct. So don't lose this time. January is key for you guys, all the senior families. Hey, Gladys, what about high income? Good question. So again, I don't know what your high income is, but I can tell you that it's all about auditing your EFC. So here's what you do right now: how to review your Fafsa. Log into your Fafsa and download something called SAR. This stands for Student Aid Report. And at the top of the Student Aid Report, you're going to see your expected family contribution. You'll see the EFC acronym. And there's going to be a set of numbers. Like, let's just say it's something like this. Now, what does that mean? 45632. Most people are really confused by that. They don't know what it means. Well, that's the dollar amount that colleges are going to expect you to pay out of your pocket. Now, that stands for $45,632 per year. Now, I would say that $45,500, yeah, that's a high expected family contribution. That's generally higher income folks. Now, you might find that somebody's EFC is 99,999. That's literally $99,999. If you're a high income family, you might very well see an EFC that high. So, a couple of things. First of all, you're not going to be expected to pay $99,000 if the college that your student goes to costs $45,000. It just means that you'll be expected to pay the full price. What this also tells you is that you're not going to be a candidate for the traditional need-based financial aid. And so don't waste any of your time, effort, or worry trying to, fix your EFC unless, there is a mistake. So, what you should do if you're a high income family is start looking for two things. Number one are merit scholarships. This is money that's going to be given to your student directly from the colleges for, being a good student. And again, this doesn't necessarily mean they have to be a 4.5 GPA valedictorian with, perfect everything, SATs and ACTs, not at all. A lot of colleges are looking for really good profile kids that are diverse, that they might come from a certain part of the country. They might come from some personal background. They might have a story. They might have, some volunteer experience. They may be pursuing a major that other kids are not interested in, or they just might be looking for more boys or more girls. There's just so many different factors that colleges will use to give money to those kids that they really want to have in their incoming freshman class. So that's the first thing you do is you look for those colleges with merit scholarships. The second thing you do is you look for private scholarships, and you got to do this right now, which means these are not financial aid dollars coming from the government because they don't think you're going to be in need of financial aid if your income is high. So look for private scholarships. Have your kids start writing letters to those organizations, companies, foundations, sometimes even private families and nonprofits that have literally billions of dollars in that private scholarship system. And your kids can start qualifying right now. But don't wait because, like I said to you earlier, most families are going to go into freak out mode sometime between March and May. And I promise you, that's when everybody's going to start writing letters. So if you can start doing that now, you'll be in a far better position than you will be if you wait. So, Gladys, hopefully that answers your question. And there's some more advanced things that you can do. And I'll just mention it very briefly on a high level. And that is if you're a high income family and you don't qualify for need-based financial aid, you're going to look at merit, you're going to look for private scholarships, but there's one other area that high income families should consider, and that's some tax planning. Now, that's not a very sexy term because nobody likes to hear the word tax, but I promise you that if you do this correctly, and now is a perfect time, you can actually get a lot of tax savings by having your kids qualify for them. Again, that's a bit more complex and nuanced. So if you want some extra information, just put free consult in the comments and schedule a time. I'll talk more about it specific to your situation. You can also talk to your accountant, obviously. Just make sure that they know the financial aid system because not all traditional accountants do, but it's not a scary thing. Point is, there's a lot of money and it's in different places. There's money from the government. There's money from colleges. There's money from private scholarships. There's money from tax savings. There's money from the government in terms of tax credits. If you're a business owner, you can literally use your business as a way to help pay for your kids' college pre-tax. So there's a lot of things. There are a lot of areas. The challenge is in knowing which one of those areas is going to work for you and your student. And so you have to know where the money is going to come from. That's why I put this. Where is the money? So if you know where the money is going to come from for you and your family based upon your personal and unique circumstances, well, then you can take the next months or years, if you're lucky, to actually do the right things to get the money. And we're here to help. So I don't know if you've got any other questions. I hope this has been helpful. But the one thing that I just want to recap and drive this home is that if you have a high school sophomore, right now, what you need to do is estimate your expected family contribution. And that's going to help you figure out your financial aid profile, because that'll tell you whether you should start doing things to qualify for need-based financial aid from the government, or if you're not going to qualify. But you got to watch your income this year. And if you've got any opportunities to manage your taxes this year, it's going to be this tax year that colleges are going to start looking at 2 years from now to determine your eligibility for financial aid. So don't miss this tax year. It is super important. That's something called your base year. Now, if you're a high school junior, you want to figure out your financial aid profile. And this is going to help your kid pick better colleges in the next few months ahead. Because if they find colleges that are good for them and they're good for you as a person that ultimately is going to write the check, you can have a tremendously positive outcome of sending them to a really good school that you can comfortably afford, because they're going to make up the difference. And how cool would that be? Now, if you're a high school senior family, the number one thing you got to do right now is review your FAFSA, and you do that by downloading your student aid report. Just log into the FAFSA and figure out what your EFC is. If it seems too high, you probably made a mistake. Fix it and let colleges know. And if you're a high income family, like Gladys had mentioned, then you got to start reaching out to colleges in order to get more merit aid. And then the one thing, or the last thing I'll mention, is that, here, let me just remove this here. So the last thing I'll mention is that whenever you actually get your financial aid offers, even if you've got one in hand right now, before you accept, you want to see if there's a possibility for you to do a financial aid appeal. In fact, I recommend that everybody who needs extra money to pay for college file a financial aid appeal. And that's where you ask the colleges that have accepted your student for more money. A lot of colleges won't give you the best financial aid offer from the very first offer or from the first try. They just don't. They always want to keep some money back. So if you don't ask, they're not going to give you any more. But if you do ask, you've got nothing to lose, but everything to gain. The one biggest fear that I hear families, or usually parents, say that, well, gosh, if we ask them for more money, are they going to think we're greedy? Are they going to think that, we're not being cool about it, and they'll just like rescind our kids' acceptance? And will it hurt my kid in the future? The answer is no, absolutely, 100% positively. It will not hurt your student. It can only help them. So you definitely want to file a financial aid appeal if you need more money. And, there are 4 different types of financial aid appeal. If you want to know what they are, let me know that you're interested and I'll send them to you. I don't want to overwhelm and throw everything and the kitchen sink into this podcast, but there are 4 different ways in which you would appeal your financial aid offer and ask for more money. All right, Sean, looks like you've got another question. Hang on, let's see. Where do we start to look for those types of private scholarships? He wants to possibly major in pharmacy. Awesome. So Google is a great place for you to start. I mean, look, there are a lot of scholarship search websites, and they're all good. There's not a single place where you can find like every single scholarship in one website. They unfortunately doesn't exist. But if you Google, especially given that your son wants to, have some kind of a pharmaceutical degree, that's what you want to Google. Say, yeah, private scholarships or scholarships for pre-med students or for biology students or pre-chemistry or sorry, chemistry or pre-pharmacy, whatever the case might be. You want to look for any local organizations that may support families. Actually, I shouldn't say local, national organizations that may support folks, based upon your ethnicity, religion, based upon the major, based upon even your personal, as a parent, work experience. There are some companies that people work for that actually have, scholarships for students of their employees. And so there's just so many different areas. And this is a great time like, today. Start doing this research. And the only thing I'll caution you, Sean, is you don't want to pay anybody to do a scholarship search for you unless you're hiring an individual, like a person, to scour the web for you. That's okay. But there are a lot of websites out there that will want you to pay a fee for them to do a scholarship search. If it's a general website that's asking you for a fee, that's generally the one you want to avoid. Those are not great scholarship websites at all. They're just money makers. So, unless you're going to hire somebody to look for private scholarships for you and your student, which would be a great use of money if you can do that, because there are a lot of great scholarship experts. And if you want some recommendations, let me know. Just follow up with me, either direct message or put it in the comments below. And I'll be happy to share some folks that I think would do a good job. And they're great. They'll literally talk to your student. They'll figure out what are the different elements that they can, pull from the conversation, and then go and find you some scholarships that you would qualify for. But you can do this yourself at no cost. Just Google it. All right. By the way, collegedata.com is a website that we often use, and I think they have a good scholarship search. I mean, we have one for our private consulting clients that we use as well. So if you want some help, just let me know, and I'll gladly share the resources that we have as well. So, anyways, here we are. I don't want to take up any more of your time. If you've got any questions, let me know and we'll respond to them. But I just want to leave you with this. The number one thing you must do right now, this January, regardless of what stage your kids are in towards their college journey, start looking at where the money is going to come from for you and your family. And that's the most important thing you can do, because from that point forward, you'll know exactly kind of the direction in which to focus your energies, your effort, and your time. Because pretty soon they're going to start getting either applying for colleges, looking for colleges, or getting into colleges. And there's just not going to be as much time for you. So every day that goes by is a bit less time that you can kind of get yourself qualified and pre-qualified for the money that you're going to need to make college affordable. And so freshman families, this is your time to learn. Sophomore families, this is the time for you to manage your income or your tax return. And so get your finances in order. That's the best time to do it. And if you position yourself in the most financially friendly way that this calendar year, oh man, you're going to be in great shape. If you're a junior family, it's all about finding the right colleges that will give you the right amount of, or enough money, and then the right type of money, the kind of money you don't have to borrow and pay back, and actually pay for college with ease. And if you're a high school senior family right now, it's all about making sure that the financial aid applications you submitted are correct, they're accurate, there are no mistakes. If there are any, fix them, and start talking with the financial aid office at the colleges so that you can begin to kind of that process of letting them know that you're in need of financial aid. If once they start giving you the offers, if they're not enough, get ready to file those financial aid appeals. So with that, you're welcome, Sean. Thank you. I'm glad you came. Hopefully you learned something good. And I want to thank all of you for being here as well. Happy New Year once again. Wishing you a healthy, a happy, and peaceful year. And certainly a profitable one if you're sending your kids to college. I hope you find a lot of money that will help you pay for school without having to dig into your savings or go into debt. And stay tuned. Every Wednesday, I'm going to take a topic apart and dive into a bit deeper into the world of financial aid. And if there's anything specific that you want to learn, if you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Let me know, and I'll be happy to talk about the things that you're interested in talking about as well. So until the next time we talk, all my best to you. Thanks for watching. Take care.